Hey guys, so today I wanted to talk about yoga mat slipping. Sometimes I know you feel like you slip and you slide all over your yoga mat, especially if you're in, downward dog or something where your hands are really firmly placed on the mat. It's so common that people feel like, wow, I'm just slipping, I'm out of control. And so I wanted to give you guys some tips about how to manage slipping on the mat. And so of course, maybe you're slipping on your hands or maybe on your feet. You can buy like special products online, which are like yoga gloves and yoga little socks kind of things if you wanted to go that route. But something that I also find is just a quick and easy fix is actually if your mat itself. There are so many different types of mats out there that offer such different grips. And of course, the more expensive ones often have the crazy awesome grips. Like the Lululemon Unmat. I think that grip is just really crazy incredible. But if you're just practicing yoga on the mats that your studio provides, often they're not going to be those high quality mats. I mean, I don't blame them, not at all, but it's really deceptive when you feel like, why am I slipping and no one else is? Or how can I get my slipping in control? I always say, go get a different mat. That's your first step. Or just try someone else's mat. If you have a friend or if someone else you go to the studio with has two mats, or if your teacher has an extra mat, see if someone will let you practice on their mat. Of course, always ask permission. Some people can be very sensitive about their yoga mats. Their energy is all created in there and their sweat and their all that stuff. So definitely ask before borrowing. But try a different yoga mat and see if that helps. Another tip is to get a yoga mat towel. And so those are usually pretty cheap. You can find them as low as like $10, I think, on Amazon, or those travel microfiber towels. So they're not very fuzzy. They're just kind of a soft, nice layer that's very moisture wicking, sweat absorbent. You might want to see what it feels like to practice on a yoga mat towel that you'll place on top of your mat. Those are really popular in hot yoga classes in which you are sweating so much. So they're meant for you not to slip all over the place. And hot yoga, you'd be sweating even more, so the slipping would be happening even more. So that's why getting a yoga mat towel is a great idea if you want to give that a try. Also, if you don't have a yoga mat towel and you're totally desperate, place just like a little kitchen towel or a little scarf or a strip of cloth right where you're finding your slippage the most. Sometimes when I'm in India and I'm just sweating during a class, I will keep like a very cheap little linen, very thin scarf close to my mat. And if I notice I'm slipping too much, I just put it in a thick line where my hands go. And that way, whenever I'm in downward dog, my hands are right there where it needs to be. So those are some just additions that you can add and change into your practice to see if it helps. Another tip, of course, is making sure you're connecting to the right points of your feet into your hands, right? So some people, they're pushing down and out. They're sliding so much because they're actually pushing away from themselves. So you're trying to root into the not into your fingers, but into the palm itself. So those four corners of your palm, is going to be where you're grounding. And I've heard it kind of described as if almost you have a teeny little blueberry underneath the center of your palm, and you don't want to pop that blueberry by having your hand completely pressed down. So you can also try to see if you can just slightly adjust how your hand is actually connecting with the mat to see if that decreases your slippage. Because as I said, sometimes your slipping has nothing to do with you at all. Most likely that's the case. It's your mat, or it's the fact that you need a towel. That's totally fine. That's awesome. But it could be that you can make some adjustments to your hand placement as well, and where you're actually putting the pressure on the mat, and then you might notice a decrease of slippage as well. So anyway, I hope those were some useful tips. If you guys have any other how to reduce mat slippage tips to share, I'm all ears. I'd love to hear about it. Send me a message or just comment below.